Joining us tonight, like I said, is Program Director Jason Mays and Coach Trace Nichols. Gentlemen, welcome to the Pure Prospects Podcast.
What's
Before we
going on,
dive
Cody?
into what's going on, Trace?
Appreciate
So,
you
bef-
having me, man.
so before we dive into Boston, yeah, you got your camera off. You need to hit the camera button on the thing there. It looks like it's kicked off. There you go. So before before we dive into Boston, I'd like to introduce you guys. Coach Director Jason Mays, like I said, is a program director at Blue Chips Basketball Academy and head coach and program director at Expression Prep Academy in Huntington, West Virginia. He's also the founder and owner of Cogniture LLC, while he specializes in mental performance coaching, helping athletes develop confidence, discipline, mental toughness, and the mental architecture necessary for success. He has nearly 3 decades of coaching experience, including national championships, NCAA tournament appearances, state tournament runs, and elite player development. Coach Mays brings a unique perspective to youth basketball. Alongside him is Coach Trace Nichols. Coach Nichols was a 4 year varsity player at St. John Paul II Academy and North Broward Prep in South Florida. And he has spent more than 7 years developing players throughout South Florida, Dallas, Texas, Louisville, and across the country. Coach Nichols has worked with over 150 athletes from youth basketball through the professional level, including more than 50 NBA, G League, and overseas players. Coach Nichols founded the team Heart in 2019, has worked with notable grassroots programs, including Texas Titans EYBL, Nike Pro Skills EYBL, AB Elite EYBL, All Ball Under Armour, Diamond Hoops, and Blue Chip All Stars. His player development resume includes work with NBA players such as DeAndre Ayton, Lou Dort, Stanley Johnson, Alonzo Trier, Eric Bledsoe, Ty Jerome, and many others. Gentlemen, man, congratulations on a tremendous weekend, and your resume it's tremendous.
Well, I appreciate it, Cody. It was a great weekend for us out here, and it was an awesome experience to be able to dip our toes in the water of 3SSB and make some statements out here for sure.
So let's dive in. I know you were there, Trace. Take us through the weekend. You guys opened the tournament with a huge 41-37 victory over Team New England. Then later faced your rivals, Elite and Pool Play, and you guys lost in a tight one, 51-47. So, what did you learn about your group after day one?
Man, I would just say that we belonged, coming into the 3SSB tournament, being our first one. There's uncertainty about where we're at. Should we have been in the silver bracket? Should we be in the gold? And being that we're in the gold and coming out, going 1-1 and playing two competitive games, we were right where we're supposed to be. And it just had us fired up for day two. I'd say game one, we came out firing on all cylinders. The team threw a little 2-3 zone at us in the second half, and it kind of stifled us. We pulled the game out, but game two was an awesome competitive game. Went down to the wire, went to overtime. So day one was a success for us.
So, you guys started Sunday morning. You just started with an absolute statement. You
Yes,
defeated
sir.
the unit 55-18. Coach Nichols, what was clicking for your team in that game? Was it the best basketball you guys played all weekend?
I would say that was the most intense. The boys came out defensively. They were flying around, causing chaos. And honestly, that was our best shooting game on the weekend. Multiple guys hit multiple threes. And Brixton Underwood himself hit six threes alone with 25
Nice.
points to go with that. So,
So Brixton exploded for 25. Your next challenge was the Lou Dort Elite from Canada. I think I'm saying that correctly. Many
yes,
considered
sir.
them, one of the favorites entering the weekend, and you guys responded with a 41-38 victory.
Yes,
What
sir.
made that win so significant for you in the program?
Well, one, just, the name behind it, Lou Dort, NBA player, also being from Arizona State, someone I have a connection with. That was a really important game for these boys. And, they're bringing their best of the best from Canada. So for them to come out here, they're a big team, a lot of forwards and bigs out there. For us to slow down that game and win that gritty game, it was a huge statement for us as a program. So I think that showed that we belong and we're here to stay in the 3SSB. So,
So that victory set up a rematch with the rivals Elite. That's the same team that handed you that 4 point loss in pool play. So it was just another battle. You fought to the end, but you guys fell 49-43. What stood out about how your team played and competed?
Honestly, Cody, it was just the resiliency of that group, man. For that being our third game on the day, having just battled and won a tough game against Ludor Elite, that showed a lot of mental toughness from that group. And honestly, I would love to do a 7 game series with those guys. That was a phenomenal 2 games we played against them. And I think we could win anytime against them. Much respect to that program, but I know we're just as capable enough to beat them. So that was an awesome matchup for us.
So this is your first Junior 3 SSB event, right? How did
Correct.
your guys respond to that environment and that atmosphere? Was it different than where you guys usually play?
Not so much different, but some of these teams out here, they gave us a good run. It was very competitive basketball through and through. But for us blue chips, we played in, we're 2-time AAU national champions, so we've played up in AAU nationals. Um, we've done the Made Hoops events, we've done balling on the beach in Fort Lauderdale, so we're pretty used to seeing good competition, and it was just another good tournament for us to get better with these boys.
So let's start with some of you guys. Brixton Underwood. Let's start with him. He's a 2032 combo guard. He had one of the most impressive weekends of anyone in the tournament. Against Team United, he exploded over 25 points. Like you said, he had six threes. He also followed that performance by hitting a huge deep three and go ahead corner against the Lou Dort team to help send you guys to the championship game. What separates Brixton is his confidence, IQ, leadership, and ability to make big shots when the moment is big. What makes Brixton such a special player, Coach?
Well, you nailed the head on it. It's the leadership, it's the IQ out of that kid, and honestly, I would say his work ethic, man. I've never seen a kid or met a kid that works as hard as he does. I'm in the gym with that kid every day, and he puts in the utmost and the best effort every single day. So that kid works his tail off, and there's no secrets to it. You know that
So I
work
think
ethic is unmatched.
Jason said that he just has started playing basketball. So as a sixth grader, is he picking up skills and developing rapidly, or is he just how's he picking up his development?
We're in the gym every day working on both hands. He gets up 500 plus shots a day at a minimum. We're working set shots, shots on the move. We're playing one on ones, 3 on 3s in practice. And we're also getting live 5 on 5. We like to have Brixton play up against some older kids in practice. We have a good seventh grade team locally that he competes with every single day. So, and also he's not scared to go up at Coach Trace right here. So he'll go at me and play me in 1 on 1, and we're constantly working on our game. So,
So let's move on to Jet Hubbard. Jet may have been one of the most explosive athletes in the tournament, and I've heard his motor never stops. He defends, he rebounds, he attacks the rim, and he creates opportunities for his teammates. And he also impacts winning in every possible way. What makes Jet so valuable to this group?
Cody, Jet Hubbard is a spark plug, man. When he steps on the court, it's fire. Like, whether it's diving on a loose ball, bringing energy right off the tip, getting in someone's grill, and picking him up 94 feet, he's got it. And he's also a big time shot taker and a big time shot maker. So I like to say he's a microwave. He can get hot at any point. So
So
Jet got it.
what about Cooper Big Country Newman? He's one of the most dominant big men was in Boston. Cooper? You guys call him Big Country Newman. He's standing around 6'2" as a sixth grader. He combines that size and tremendous. He has a tremendous footwork, touch around the basket, toughness, and he's able to pass as a big. Uh, in the championship game, he included 20 points against one of the top teams in the region. How rare is it to see a young post player with big country skill level and feel for the game? How rare is that?
I mean, that's rare, Cody. I mean, that kid, you feed it to him on the block. If it's a 1 on 1, I don't think there's really any other big in the country that can guard him 1 on 1 on the block. And that in the championship game, we played through him, and they started sending doubles, and he's a willing passer, and that worked for us for the majority of the game. Obviously, it didn't turn into our favor, but we played through Coop, and it that's what we needed that game. So Coop's got it, and he's got a motor unlike any other big in the country.
So is he more?
Cody, let me
Go ahead.
interject there for a second. We've
Yeah,
got three players. Trace, I think I'm correct on this. We have three players on this team whose fathers are head high school coaches. Am I correct? Yeah.
correct.
So, with that comes a different level of IQ. My two kids were raised in a locker room. So these players have been raised in a locker room led by their parents, by their fathers, and that carries a lot of weight. And so they understand winning. They understand probably advanced level of concepts for their age. And so we're fortunate to have them. But Coop's one of those kids.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
so is he at like a traditional five back to the basket, or is he more like the new stretch forward five that can face up and maybe stretch the floor a little bit?
I will say, Coop's game is majority on that block. Like he wants to catch it on the block and go one, two dribbles, drop step, or get to a post hook, get to the middle. But he is expanding his game, and I know he's getting up 350 shots plus a day with his father out there in St. Louis. So he's stepping out and hitting a couple threes now. He will hit, I'd say, about 1 3 per game. So he's not scared to step out there and take them, and he will knock them down
So that's big for you guys because he can stretch the floor a little bit and at least make it a threat
for sure.
instead of packing the defense in. So that's a plus. Let's move on to Caleb Hamilton. Another player that impressed throughout the weekend was Caleb. He's a dynamic combo guard. But he can also run the point. He can attack downhill, create for his guys, and he can score at all three levels. So he was big for Team United, the Lou Dort Elite, and he proved that he belonged on the stage. Where have you seen him grow the most, Coach?
I'd say his rebound, and honestly, Cody, we challenged Caleb with his height and length on our team to step up as a rebounder and a defender also. And he's taken on that challenge. This weekend, he really showed me a lot of maturity, and that's something we're still working on with him. But Caleb's taking big strides in that and stepped up, got secured some big rebounds for us, and then his ability to push and transition is unmatched. He's one of the best open court players in the country, I'd say, at his age level.
So one thing that stood out this weekend was the chemistry. Your group generally seemed to be playing together. The ball moved. The players celebrated each other's success. Nobody cared who scored the most. How
Yeah.
important is that culture to what you're building there at Blue Chips or Blue Chip?
Well, Cody, I was sorry, and I know Coach Mays will probably want to add in on that, but it's everything. It is. It really is everything. It's almost more important than what's going on court. It carries over through life, and that's how we can become even better team than what we have capable of. Like that chemistry will take us so far. So those boys buy in and trust each other. And Coach Mays, if you want to touch on that,
I mean, Cody, you got to understand something. The last six MVPs of the NBA have been non-American, and how much more competitive were the last Olympic Games, last two Olympic Games? Basketball is not an American game anymore, and so the question is why. The training model that's going on in not only Europe but Australia and other parts of the world, even now Africa, um, is working. And so the Blue Chip Basketball Academy, owned by Brian Underwood, Brixton, who you mentioned earlier's father, that's where all this starts, is player development. We don't want a commercialization of our basketball. We don't want we want to develop players and let that product that oozes out on the floor speak for itself. And these are sixth grade kids. All right, some will develop more rapidly than others. Some will be slow to develop compared to others. But as long as they all are focused on the development as a basketball player as well as a person, then that's where it starts. And so that's where the culture begins. And then our club teams are a byproduct of that. All right. That's unique. Usually, what happens, Cody, is you see coaches gather talent. Hey, it's I mean, it's prevalent in AAU. They gather talent and they manage it. What we want to do is we want to coach talent. We want to teach these
100%.
kids all aspects of the game. We want to teach these middle school kids high school concepts. And when they get to high school, we're going to start teaching them college concepts. We're going to keep them ahead of the learning curve from a skill development standpoint. And so all that goes into our culture. And we're new. So this is just beginning. Been a blank canvas that we are creating on. So we're really excited.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Um, Growing is not only a basketball player but a person. Like that's huge because the kids I talk to in recruiting, um, the things that you learn in basketball don't always. I mean, it correlates more than being on the court. Like with your players, the trust that you get with your teammates, respect. There's just so many values that you can learn playing ball, and
For sure.
being a professional. So it's awesome that you guys are assembling a program against kids like this that they're going to buy in and develop. So, Coach Nichols, your resume stands out. You've worked with so many players from youth to the NBA. What makes this group of kids so special?
I'd say honestly, the way these boys can come together and gel on the court, off the court, the way they care for each other and buy in and do anything they need to do to help each other win. It's incredible to see, Cody, man. Like these kids love each other. And that's where it starts. And that's why the product on court is looking like what it does. It's because they buy in and they believe in each other. And I think that's why that ball is moving a little better for us. And it's only going to get better from here. So I'm excited for these boys.
I was watching the EYBL today. It was the Indy Heat versus Team Up play,
Yeah.
and there was no team ball going on. It was just
Wow.
five out and let's give the ball to somebody. Even getting trapped, they'd still shoot the ball. And I talked to a player's dad, and he's like, "Well, that's how we play." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's unfortunate." But your focus now shifts to Carolina for the Nationals, right?
For sure.
So
Rock
you
Hill.
you guys earned a spot at the Nationals and have an opportunity to compete against some of the best teams in the country. And it's at Rock Hill, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So what are you guys' expectations heading into Nationals?
I would say to continue making statements and to continue picking up wins, man. Like nothing else. We're looking to go make a name for ourselves and continue to play winning basketball and play blue chip basketball, play the right way. And again, just do what we do.
So you guys
You
just
know,
represent Kentucky. Can you say something, Jason?
yeah, I mean, we don't ever want to get in a situation where we have to apologize for winning. We want to win. Um, Brian Underwood is his life is all about excellence, and we want that to come out of everything that we do as an academy. Okay, and so when we go to Rock Hill, our goal will be to win it, but it will also have some sub points, and that will be we want to draw talent. We want the best players. We want to draw attention to our academy model, our training model, and we want to become a separator. We want to say, hey, or a disruptor rather. When we say, look, they're doing something different, and it's about time somebody does something different in this space. Because Cody, you know this, the shoe companies are starting to take money away from AAU and put it in Scholastic. I mean, you
Sure
look at
are.
EYBL Scholastic, you look at Grind Session. I mean, I'm telling you,
Yeah,
that's the next evolution. And if they wouldn't do that if AAU was evolving in a healthy manner. Okay. And
sure.
so we want to show how this can be done right. We're going to have speed bumps. We're going to get it wrong. I mean, we're a new entity. We're growing. All right. But we want people to look at us with a different kind of eye and say, they're doing something different there that really is holistic. And so that would be another opportunity, another stage, another platform, if you will, for us to demonstrate those aspects of the program.
So, Coach, how dangerous can you guys be or this team be once you guys are fully healthy and at full strength?
I think we can be very dangerous, Cody. I mean, I think we can get high and score with the best of them. And I also think we have the some of the most tenacious defending guards in the country. I think we can guard 1 through 5 at times, and we also can guard bigs. We have versatility with our lineup and our roster right now, and I think we're only going to continue to grow. But
So
we
you
can
got
go all the way.
you guys are a middle school team. Um, Most of the time, the middle school programs, if you have size, more likely you're going to come out winning.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that how your program is? You're just stacked with size.
That's not really us, man. That's not us. We have a lot of good guards. You mentioned Cooper Newman is our five. He's a good five for us. We have a couple good forwards, but we're not just leaning on our size over here. We're more skill based team, focus on ball movement, player movement, and the ability to knock down threes. A lot of threes and transition offense. But again, we're not scared to feed Coop and play through Coop like we did today in the championship.
So, blue chip basketball is there only one location in Kentucky?
Yes, sir.
So, are you
Yeah.
guys looking to expand?
No, we're looking to right now. We're looking to. We're not. We just everybody can go to our website. It's bluechipbball.com, and it just went online. We are going to be a membership based academy where to train at our facility you have to become a member of our facility. That's the only option that you have to train. And so that right there will show the level of commitment for the kids that we're training. There's three different levels to that. With each different level, you get more training opportunities. We have some a la carte options for our academy as well, but we're not going to be hosting a bunch of tournaments. We're not going to commercialize what we're doing. We're not going to try to make money off hot dogs and tickets and entry prices. That's not what we're getting into. We are going to train kids on and off the floor. We have, I'm a mental performance coach as well. My business is called Cognitecture, and I don't know of another grassroots organization that's going to be involving mental performance coaching in their program. You know, so that's another example. But then we're going to have we're going to have a national level club team, which we do. We started with the sixth grade, and we're just going to make sure that what we're doing with excellence. And then as we progress, it'll be based on our academies growing because the memberships we're getting upwards of 200 or so memberships. Then we're going to have to look at another facility. If that's in the cards, I know that Brian I think he would be ready for that. But we're not jumping to there yet. We want to do where we are right now. We say this: we want to do uh, the small things well a lot. We want to be faithful and being disciplined and just training our kids one workout at a time. Each weekend that we play, every time our kids get together, let's be faithful in doing those little things well, and I think the product will take care of itself. But yeah, we're in.
So,
I'm sorry, we're in Louisville. We're over off of
yes,
Old Henry. Is it Boulevard? Old Henry Boulevard, Old Henry Road off Gene
Old Henry
Snyder.
Road.
it's Old Henry
Yeah,
Yeah,
Road. Yeah.
yeah, and it's off Gene Snyder there in the east end of Louisville. It's really a great location because you're not too far from Southern Indiana. We have kids on our team that are from Southern Indiana. The Caleb kid you mentioned earlier is from Southern Indiana.
Caleb Allen.
The Oldham County area, that Crestwood, that Goshen, that Lagrange, all that the Norton Commons area. That's nearby. Middletown, all that area is nearby. The Ballard, the Eastern, all those schools are nearby. Yet it's easy access because of the location to the interstates that we can get downtown if we need to. So
Yeah,
it's a really good location. I think I did some market research when I first started looking at this opportunity with Brian. I was amazed that there's not more of these facilities in the city of Louisville. It's crazy.
sure,
I mean, I don't know how many people in
sure.
Louisville. It's well over 1 million people, but really, we're going to be one of two facilities that specialize, that have their own facility, that have their own club team, that have their own membership model. The other one is Shoot 360, and their
Shoot
model is
360.
somewhat
Yeah.
different than
Yeah,
ours. You know, and I'd like to also announce tonight, I have his permission to do so, that we just hired Jayla Maxey as one of our head trainers, director of training and performance for the Blue Chip Basketball Academy, and he's coming from as the head trainer at Shoot 360. So I think what we're doing is going to be it is special, but it's not out yet. And so people are going to catch on, and I think we're going to see some rapid growth in what we're doing.
So, what would a parent or player, what could they expect for their first time coming into blue chip?
Um, that's a great question because that first experience is different. Trace, we've talked about this. So the first workout, we're actually going to spend the first 15, 20 minutes showing you how to arrive, where to get dressed, how to get loose, what dynamic stretching is. Because when your clock starts, we're not going to waste 7 or 8 minutes stretching. We're going right
Yes.
into skill training. So if you got a 5 o'clock training session, you got to get here no later than 4:45. You're going to dress over here. This is the process and protocol that you go
For
through to
sure.
get your body ready for your workout. So then when the workout starts, our coach is on the floor. Boom, we're starting right away. Okay, so teaching some autonomy and independence, and it's going to require some maturity to come in and almost treat yourself like a pro, and how
Yes.
Yes.
you get ready to work out. And the workouts are going to be about 50 minutes nonstop. They're all going to be planned. We have software that we are incorporating where our workout plans are going to be libraried. So one trainer can look back at if he's working a group out that he didn't work out last time, but he's working out this time, he can see what their workout was last time. And then another separator is our trainers are going to be like doctors. And when I say exactly what I mean by that is after the workout, they're going to take notes and they're going to notate on how the workout went, what went well, what did not go well, who was progressing, who wasn't progressing. And our parents are going to be able to access those notes and they're going to be able to follow the progress or lack thereof of their kids. And I think that's a separator. And so that's what they can expect. They can expect planned, orchestrated workouts with a strong brand. We're going to meet kids where they are. That's why, Cody, I sent you this earlier. We've already decided on 4 different segments of our kids that will train, and it's not just age based, but like to advance from one segment to the next higher segment, you've got to demonstrate a level of mastery in a certain number of
Yeah.
skills. So we have these metrics that we're actually going to place on kids. Like, okay, if you can demonstrate proficiency shooting off the catch at this clip, if you can demonstrate proficiency in ball handling via one-on-one finishing moves, then getting out of traps, evasion techniques, then all right, when you demonstrate mastery, we're checking those boxes. And until you check all the boxes in that one segment, you're not moving to the next segment. Okay. Um, and so like it's not just random, it's orchestrated. We want kids to understand that there's progression to these things. Trace said something earlier about player movement. We hear ball movement all the time, but these kids, you've got to teach them spacing, you've got to teach them pacing, you've got to teach them player movement. If you cut from a wing to the hoop and through the other side, what does that do to that individual defender who's guarding that cut? And then what does that do to the team defense? And what kind of gaps and opportunities for scoring does that one cut create? No one's teaching that to these kids. Okay. And so it's a little bit, I don't want to say higher level, but I guess what I want to say is we're not apologizing for teaching elevated tactics. If we want to steal something from soccer, another great developmental sport in the European landscape, another one where the greatest players in the world all start at the academy model. Okay.
Right.
And they have tactical and technical, and then they have game strategy, and they keep them, they're separate. So at the academy, when you're training, it's tactical skill development, it's technical skill
Yeah.
development. But if you're on our club team, it's game strategy. Okay. We have a training
Yeah.
mindset in the academy, and then we have a trusting mindset when kids go play that the training that they've done is good enough to help them excel in competition. So that's where we're headed with this.
So with academy, what age can someone start at coming in to be a blue chip?
We don't really have it numbered, but probably around 6. That's our first segment. Really, where we're going to teach basic movement I don't know how many basketball camps I've ran over the years. Way too many. I'm 50. My first camp I worked when I was 14. Okay, so um, you just do the stationary ball hand. Kids need to learn how to jump off left foot, land on 2 feet. Jump off right foot, land on two
Yes.
feet. Jump off 2 feet, land on left foot. Jump off 2 feet, land on right foot. You know, finishing with both hands. Finish. I still see coaches all the time teaching layups, inside foot, outside hand. Well, that would be wonderful if we were in the movie Hoosiers, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
layups were expected to be refereed, be defended, and be executed.
Yep.
Well, it's 2026. That's not the case anymore. Sometimes you got to be able to hold, win the bump, finish off your outside foot with your inside hand. You know,
For sure.
and so just little things like that. We want to teach kids how to move, how to pass the right way. We're in our sixth grade practice, and
And
we do this little transition drill in the first 2 days. It was terribly ugly. Why? Because they didn't
yeah,
understand the importance of, in a 2 minute drill, if I can snap my pass and keep it on a tabletop versus get air underneath it,
flowing it.
my
Yep.
team over the course of 2 minutes will make two more layups. And so you got to learn those just little things. So when they're young like that, we're going to be teaching basic movement, jump stops, pivots. We'll do as much with the weak hand as we do the strong hand, to where eventually by the time they go into middle school, there is no weak or strong hand. It's just I could go either way, you know. Um, so probably around six, but you never know. Sometimes there's those unicorn 4-year-olds that really are serious about it, that we're not going to
Yeah.
say no to.
For sure.
So it's mostly on an individual basis. So
Yep.
tell me some more about Blue Chips, the club team. How many teams do you guys have?
We have one national team, okay,
Okay.
and it's called. So this year we have partnered with Phenom United, who's based out of Ohio. Brian worked out a relationship with them, and I think that's going well. Where we go in the future, we're not reading into that. They've been good to us. So, but we have one national team, one team that's a shoe team, that's on the junior three stripe, which is the team that Trace coaches. And then we have what we call our local teams. We have a sixth grade local team, and we have a seventh grade local team that mainly play in the Kentuckiana area, okay, if you will. So that we're going to have some developmental programs as well. What that looks like a year from now or 2 years from now, I'm not quite sure. But I know that we're starting with the national team and seeing what we can learn from that experience and see what we want to replicate. So do next year, do we have now a seventh grade national, and then we adding a sixth grade, and we just grow up? 2 years from now, is it eighth grade national, seventh grade national, sixth grade national? 4 years from now, is it a 15U, then a eighth grade, seventh grade, sixth grade? Is that how we grow? Cody, I think one of the great success stories that's not talked about, especially in the Adidas circuit. Cody, you remember the old Mid Ohio Pumas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the largest grassroots organization in the country. It was the largest. At
Out of
one time,
Ohio.
yeah, they had 97 teams, and they didn't even
Wow.
have girls teams. Then they added girls after that. Okay,
That's insane.
I know this because I coached my daughter. When she was a fourth or fifth grader in the Pumas organization. And Dave Mergon, who's no longer part of that organization, but he founded it in 2008, and that's what he did. He just grew it the right way over time. Now they acquired Midwest Elite a few years ago, and I don't know all the specifics, but now when you see Midwest Elite, you know that brand because of Reed Shepard and all those guys a few years ago
Yep.
that really put them on the map. But the volume that is Midwest Elite is all from a very organic grown Mid Ohio Pumas organization. Okay. Now they also have 3 facilities dedicated to training. They've got over 100 teams now. They're boys and girls. They're junior three stripe. They're silver gold three SSB. They're in Indiana. They're in Kentucky. They're in Ohio. They're truly a Midwest program. Now, do we ever want to get that big? Oh, that makes me nervous. Okay. But my point is, it grew the right way. And how many programs, Cody, have you seen that they were the hottest thing coming, and 3 years from now they didn't even exist anymore? You
There's
know?
been so many from Kentucky, not to mention, but I can't imagine in Nathan. Like
Yeah. Well,
they flame
this is
out in
one
3 to 5 years. Yeah.
that they've grown every year. Now there were some M&A, merger and acquisitions. They joined with this, or they brought somebody else in, or they acquired Midwest Elite. Whatever it is, and there's always going to be those dynamics that come with growth. But and at the same time, I think we also have to keep our mind open to what's coming around the next corner in grassroots basketball, which is this scholastic space. High school basketball is not being done, it's not growing as fast as college has adapted to so NBA sets the trends, college adapts to them within 5 years after the NBA trend has been set. And then high school usually should adapt to the college trends within 5 years after that. So we're going to be 7 to 10 years behind the NBA. Okay. So what happened, LeBron? I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. We started having these super teams being formed, right?
Yep.
What do we have now in college? Transfer portal mania. 50% of kids are and they're just the player mobility. And I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's here. It's not going. It's not going away. It's not going anywhere.
Yep.
Well, part of that comes from the AAU culture. I mean, I had a kid I coached in high school. I had to step in with his AAU because he played for 4 teams in one summer.
I seen a
I
kid
mean,
switch teams 3 times in one weekend.
so
That's why.
what we want to do is we want to be different. We don't want to partake in that part of grassroots culture. What we want to do
Bro.
is we want to say, you know what, we want to have one hand over here in scholastic, and we want to have one hand here in grassroots. Okay. Because we think that people that know the game, USA basketball is a great example. Like there's some really smart people in USA basketball. Let's Coach K is one of them. Okay, they they don't, they're not in love with AAU. Never have
Mhm.
been. All right. And so what they want to do is they're focused on this scholastic. Well, look at the NCAA rules. Now you have these scholastic weekends in June. Why? Because the NCAA says we've got to do a better job of helping high school coaches and high school kids, right? Well, so here we are now. We've got all these trends changing, and your traditional high school basketball is not evolving like it should. It's evolving
Yeah.
too slowly, in my humble personal opinion. So what are we seeing now pop up? EYBL Scholastic grind session. I'm a prep school coach. My team plays in a grind session. Okay. The elite players in the country, 40 of the ESPN top 100 players were prep school players last year. I mean, that's a huge percentage.
Yeah.
10 years ago, it might have been 5%.
And
Okay.
that's because of NIL and the transfer portal directly, right?
Yeah. And so, well, not, yes, but not entirely. It's because elite players want to be invested in.
Okay.
They and I'm not saying like I'm gonna give you this to put your name on a billboard and get a free F-150. That's not what I mean by being invested in. They want to be in the gym 6 hours a day. They want a
Yeah.
strength coach. They want player development. They want to be coached in practice. All right. They don't want what do you mean? They don't want all these restrictive rules that were meant to regulate high school basketball in 1985. Okay. They want to play with a shot clock. Okay. So,
Yeah.
what we want to do is we want to maintain a grassroots program that is also connecting to what we think the future of scholastic basketball is going to be. And so in Louisville, we're in Kentucky, we're in Southern Indiana's right across the river, two of arguably the best basketball states in the United States of America. So we're ideally situated to be an example of how we can do grassroots the right way while respecting high school coaches and high school programs, yet also encouraging and showing how high school basketball can be done differently in conjuncture with grassroots. All right. It doesn't have to be one or the other. High school coaches don't have to hate AAU coaches and vice versa. All right. But when I was at Ashland Blazer, Cody, I had 7 players that signed college scholarships. Not one offer. 3 of those were recruited all over the country at the Division One level. Not one of those offers came from AAU. Not one of them. They all came from high school. But I was involved in their grassroots. I talked to their coaches. I went to their practices. I knew the program directors. All right. We made wise decisions on what programs they went to. Parents, go to an AAU program that's going to play where they say they're going to play. That's going to charge you that's going to charge you what they say they're going to charge you. That does what they say they're going to do. Everybody has great intentions until they get the invoice. Oh man, I need
Mm-hmm.
more money. You know what I'm saying? Like no,
Sure.
like we're blessed because Brian is a tremendous benefactor to our program. All right, I
For sure.
mean his investment is. I don't even want to tell you what the investment has been, but it's been remarkable. Okay, and so you know, um, we want to be different. We want to invest in these kids in a way that shows that we are a disruptor in this space, but for positive change, not negative change. Um,
Sure.
and we're going to do it the right way. And I think that's going to bring some shoe companies to us that want to get on board with us. They're going to say, hey, look, you're funded, you got a great facility, you're in a great location. Those are 3 key characteristics of any AAU program.
Thousand
Yeah,
percent, coach.
I think you hit the nail on the head. You were talking about your high school players that got those offers, and it was because their high school coach was connected with their AAU coaches. Like that's one of the biggest things I heard out of that whole thing is because just because you play on the shoe circuit, you're playing in Tulsa, um, doesn't mean you're going to get these offers unless you're the top kid.
Yeah.
So what I talk to kids about is building those relationships with those coaches and also your high school coach, but hold them accountable as well. Make sure your coach is doing what they're supposed to be doing and not just showing up on Friday night and calling the game. Like they need to be invested in you just as much as, your parents are, if that's what you're trying to do is play college basketball, right?
1000%.
What I coached at Valdosta State in South Georgia, and I would go to a high school game on Friday night to watch a kid play. And Trace, you're from Florida, so you might be able to relate to
Oh yeah.
this. And I can't tell you, I mean, there was probably 4 or 5 times where I waited outside the locker room after the game to talk to a young man and to talk to his coach, to learn about the kid, to show respect for the coach, that, hey, thank you for what you're doing. Um, and I can't tell you 4 or 5 times there were coaches come out and said, I mean, coach, I'm the defensive coordinator on the football team. I just coach basketball in the winter. So
Really?
my point is, that's in the South now, okay, but especially South Georgia, Valdosta, Georgia, and that, where
Yeah.
Valdosta High and crazy football. But anyways, that my point is, kids that come from a program like that, AAU's what they have to rely on
Yeah.
because they don't have the infrastructure in their high school program. So I understand the over reliance on AAU. But what I always told AAU directors was when they called about our kids at Ashland and Montgomery County, I would say, and same thing will happen at Expression Prep, is my goal is for your program to supplement what we're already doing for them in high school. That's my goal. Now it's my job to have player profiles, to send edit clips out after a good game, to work to promote players. That's my job. We have to do that. And then the AAU coaches, that's where the interest comes. And then the AAU coaches, I hand it off to them for in April and July in the high school world. Middle school, you get a few more, you get another month in there, and say, hey, supplement what we're already doing. Any development that can take place is great. That's an added bonus, but get them in front of people that I couldn't get them in front of. Talk to people that I couldn't talk to. Your network is different than my network. Let's join this together. Let's make all to benefit this kid, right? That's how it should be done. But the high school coach has got to work. The AAU coach has got to respect what the high school coach has done. And problem is the high school coach, if they're not working to promote their players, the AAU coach, there's nothing to respect. So it's broken.
True.
Yeah, and I'll tell all the kids I work with, or if I get a chance to talk to any of them, if you're not a 4 or 5 star recruit, man, there's at least 1,000 of you out there across the U.S. So what are you doing to get the edge on those kids? I mean, you can only work as hard as you can, but if you're not in front of the right eyes, then
Yeah.
you're battling an uphill battle that you can still you need to get a chance to be in front of as many people as you can if you're not a 4 or 5 star kid. It doesn't mean you can't develop into a 4 or 5 star if you keep working, but you still need that opportunity, to go out and get it, and do what you can to get it. If that means putting more things on social media, if that means showing up to this camp or working with this person or building a new relationship with somebody, get out and do it. Like, be proactive and more than being on the floor.
The, there's some
100%.
medallions and medals and championship rings and nets all behind me here, right? All right. That's all from non-Division One programs. All right. In my wedding, 5 of my groomsmen were either all conference or all American players that played overseas, got paid to play for multiple years, all coming from small college. There's so many kids in the transfer portal now because their decision, the matrix that they use to make the decision is flawed. It doesn't involve experience or wisdom. It involves instant gratification. It involves money, which will not last. It involves materialistic things, which will not last. All right. And here's a simple truth that I tell everybody: the coach that's signing you is going to sign you, all right, because he's got a contract extension he's working for or she's working for if you're on the girls' side. All right. And they're not going to sign somebody that's not going to help them win games.
Nope.
Pure and simple. The thing that I don't see enough in the prep school space and grassroots is winning. Focus on winning. Talk about winning. Talk about winning behaviors. Talk about the behaviors and the beliefs that have to be in alignment with each other when it comes to winning. Win, 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 win. You know the best recruiting tool for a high school basketball kid in Indiana and Kentucky? Going to the state tournament, playing in Bainbridge Arena or Rupp Arena.
That's a
That's the
fact.
best recruiting
1,000%.
tool you can do.
That's a
All right,
fact.
that's the best
Facts.
recruiting tool.
I've
And
been in. Go
for
ahead.
AU, Cody, you know this. Are the coaches out on Friday afternoon? Or are they out on Sunday during championship bracket play?
Sunday.
Yeah. So if you're playing AAU just to think I'm going to get exposure, I'm being slept on, but you're playing for
Yeah.
a team that doesn't have structure, doesn't have organization, and you're an early exit come first round bracket play, and you're on a plane or you're on the way home by noon on Sunday. Ain't nobody watching you. You got to
Winning's
win.
everything. Yeah, winning is
Yeah,
everything, y'all.
you got to win.
Yeah.
But see, like that has to be talked about. These sixth grade kids, winning matters. Winning
Yes.
matters.
Yes.
I don't care if it's grassroots. I don't care if it's pickup sticks. Winning matters. I got a podcast called Win, the Coach May Show. It's about all things winning. Like, I'm serious. Like, we're getting away from that in our sport. And,
We are.
and we can't. And you're like, what do you mean you're getting away from winning? No, because we're getting into everybody. Like, Trace, I've talked to Trace like this. When you skill train, man, a cone ain't gonna you're gonna be able to beat a cone every time. Now,
Yes.
somebody with bones, I'd rather have bones guard me than cones guard me. Okay, cones and bones, right? And but because that teaches competitive spirit, that teaches winning, that teaches like I've got to beat this dude, I've got to beat this
Yeah.
girl, all right. And there's consequences if I don't. And the part of this reason is parents. They want to ignore the winning part, and they want to focus on, well, the effort was made. And oh, here's a good one. Sorry, you got me
Status.
going now. Here's a good one. Hey, he's pretty good. My son is pretty good. I'm going to make an investment in the membership at Blue Chip Basketball Academy, and I'm going to have Coach Trace Nichols training. All right, good player. Now an added expense. What happens is now they've added expectations. Oh, no, 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 no. More money spent on a kid's development only means one thing: more money spent. That kid
Hmm.
hopefully will develop, okay? But these parents spending all this money on AAU teams and AAU travel for what? You're going to get 40 shots up if you're a starter in a weekend. Whereas you can get 40 shots up in 3 minutes in a private workout, you know? And so I'm not dogging grassroots because obviously we're on here to talk about grassroots. But man,
Sure.
it has to be done with keeping the main thing, which is player development, which is why when you bring Trace on here, you bring me on here, and we're representing Brian Underwood and Blue Chip Basketball Academy. What's going to start with the academy and the skill development that goes on away from the weekend tournaments. And the weekend tournaments is just going to be proof that what we're doing is working. All right. So um, that's where
Sit
we're
right
going.
there, coach. Hit the
Sorry
nail on
about
the head
that.
for sure.
I seen a tweet the other day that the kids go and play on they play on the weekend AAU. They score 20 points. They're more worried about getting that post like or retweet about their 20 points than sending it to a coach or sending it somewhere for their exposure. They're worried about getting likes from people that don't matter instead of sending it to people
Yeah.
that do matter. It's all about the status and the instant gratification. To get the instant gratification, and that's what they're doing. And like you said, parents. I talked to a parent 2 weeks ago. They spent, I think, $27,000 in 2 years playing for a shoe team circuit, and they didn't get anything back, and they were really upset about it. And they had the expectation, since I played on a shoe circuit team, that I was going to get an education or a scholarship, and it just doesn't work that way.
And college coaches aren't even recruiting high. I mean, they are recruiting high school kids. That's unfair to college
Not like it
coaches.
used to be.
But right now they're recruiting transfers. Okay, and parents got to know. Is my son going to get picked over a kid who averaged 11 points a game in NC State last year? No. That kid's already ready to go right now. My kid's going to need a year in the weight room, in the film room, in the meeting room, and how to handle athletic training appointments and how to handle academic counseling appointments. I mean, it takes a while to be proficient as a college student athlete at a high major program. Okay, and right now where there's more and more pressure every year on coaches to win, and now the transfer portal with the rules and the money, the rules that the way they are, if you don't take advantage and you don't go get what's available now, you're going to lose. I love Shaka Smart. I think he's one of the best, but he's had to change how he thinks about it. Why? Because he hasn't taken any transfers in the last. What's happened? He lost last year, and he was getting out physical. He was playing against older players, more experienced players, and now hopefully his administration lets him grow through that. But like these college athletic departments, too much money on the line. They're not going to let you win 2 years, lose 2 years, and then win 2 years again and have this cycle. Now they want to win every year. Okay, so until that model changes, high school kid. That's one of the reasons I'm coaching prep school. I think prep school is a sweet spot in our game right now because it gives kid an
It
extra
is.
year of competitive, above average competitive play and development, full time development. They're in a prep school to get better. Okay. Now those kids are still getting recruited because of that reason I just said. They're the elite high school players. They're playing against good competition, and
They're
they're in
ready to go.
school every day. They're getting 6 hours of work in the gym.
Yeah.
That's part of the prep school model. So um, it's just it's we're at a unique place in our game right now. It's a good place to be because change is good for our game. It is. We have to embrace it. There's a lot of smart people involved in our game right now. And so Trace, as a coach of a bunch of sixth graders, me as a director of an academy in a great basketball city, in a great basketball state, in a great basketball region, we have to be we have to be responsible in how we shepherd these kids in our game right now. And that's how we're going to do this. And I hope that people appreciate that and they just flock to the Blue Chip Basketball Academy because they want to
Sure.
be a part of something that's different.
Yeah, change. A lot of people aren't, I guess, ideal to change, but like you said, the trend in NBA down to college, down to high school. I look at it the same way as basketball is the same way as clothing. The style is set in LA and it just trickles all the way over. It's the same way. So, you guys are right. I love you guys, coming on. As you know, I'm from Kentucky. I love Kentucky. Been working with the kids since 2015. So back to you guys. Who's the who's the funniest, Coach Trace? Who's the funniest guy on your squad?
Funniest guy on our squad. I gotta say, we didn't mention him earlier. Jackson Whittinghill. He's been a long time blue chip player for us. One of our core guys. Uh, he's versatile. Can play any position for us. But off the court, the kid is hilarious. Every kid on the team loves him, and he's just a joy for those boys. He's the funniest kid on the team by far.
Who's the most competitive on the team?
Um, Most competitive. That's tough. I mean, they're all competitive. I'd say Brixton Underwood. He wants to win every drill, every possession. He's the first one to dive on the loose ball and hit the floor. So I'll give that to Brixton. But every other kid on this team can bring it too. Don't get it twisted. So
So who's probably the most underrated on the team, or what most people think is the most underrated?
I think I'll go back to Jackson. Just he kind of gets overlooked with his versatility. He's not looking to just do one thing specifically good out there. He's just very versatile. He can knock down shots. He can be in passing lanes. He's a good playmaker when we need him. We could throw him in any position. Honestly, he's like a guard. He's that height, same position. I'd say as like same height as a Brixton or a Jet. But we'll throw him at the five and play him at the five and go dribble handoffs and go zoom actions with him. And so I'd say he's one of the most underrated players on our team.
So what was the biggest or best moment from Boston this weekend?
Um, I gotta say, just beating that Lou Dort team today, game 2 on a Sunday, that was a huge win for our program. Huge win for me personally as a coach. Again, like I said, I have some history, having worked a little bit at Arizona State and doing some player development there, knowing Lou. That was a big win for me personally, but also the program and for the boys. I know they felt that, and for us to punch our ticket to Rock Hill and be able to go compete at nationals, that was the real goal going into it. Obviously, we wanted to win it, but to get that ticket punch, that's awesome, man. So that was the biggest thing for us. And then, yeah,
But what about one word to describe your guys?
one word to describe my guys: relentless. Relentless, man.
Nice. Coach Mays, let's hit you with some few rapid fire questions. Your favorite basketball coach of all time, or coach of all time?
Happy Osborne, uh, small college guy, fastest coach in college basketball to win 400 wins. My best friend, that's who I was under at Georgetown. That's who I worked with and took over for Kentucky Wesleyan. He's my favorite because he was just such a freaking winner, man. He instilled a will to win in every player he ever touched. Um, but commercially, if you will, I'm on the Hurley fan, the bandwagon. I
Coach,
think
Oh,
which
he's.
one? Which one, Coach?
Oh, come
yeah.
on,
Which
Danny.
one?
What-
Danny. He's a lot like me. Except I leave out the profanity, but I'm very flawed. I've been fired really 3 times, and you do, which happens if you're in this business long enough. But he's had cycles in his career, and he also started at the grassroots level. He started at a prep school, St. Benedict's, and he climbed. He went Wagner. I coached against Wagner. I mean, Wagner's one of the lower level Division 1 teams in the country, and that's what he could get. That's what he took. And before that, he was a small college, and so I like him because I think he's real. I think he's authentic. In addition to him, I'm always an Izzo fan.
yeah.
And I'll tell you something else. I really like some of these guys in Europe right now, man. I love some of the actions I'm seeing in Europe. Don't ask me to say their names because I'll mispronounce them. But there's a coach in Israel I really like, coach in Italy I really like. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm probably an Izzo and Hurley guy.
So, what's the most important you think? life lesson does basketball teach?
To win, at least it should. You know, if you're going to go through all this and you're not going to learn how to win, what have you spent your time doing? You know, just to win in life. You know, life is a larger example of a basketball practice. You're going to have adversity.
Huh?
You're going to get sick. You're going to get disabled. You're going to get cancer. Somebody's going to die. You're going to lose a job. You're going to, then on the other side, you're going to be healthy. You're going to get promotion. You're going to make a lot of money. You're going to have a great marriage. You know, it ebbs and flows. And within one defensive drill in a practice, you experience success and defeat potentially all within 5 seconds. And so, how do you reframe that? How do you not get seduced by the success? How do you reframe the adversity and still become the best competitive version of yourself? Ultimately, with the goal of winning. All right, that's what I think basketball teaches.
So let's check out your library. What's your favorite basketball book?
Uh, right now, I don't know if I have a favorite. Right now, I'm reading "Stop BSing Yourself." What do you got there, Trace?
Winning by Tim Grover.
Oh yeah, I've read that. Yeah, that's his new one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Right now, I'm reading "Stop BSing Yourself" by Drew Hanlon, and uh, you know, "Never Stop" Danny Hurley.
Hey.
Um, my favorite though, you're gonna laugh. My favorite's probably Ken Palm blogs
Oh yeah, you
and
like
analytics.
that?
I love analytics. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm an analytics guy myself.
yeah.
So you have a coaching career. Who is the toughest team you've ever coached against?
Sheesh. Tough one.
Probably 2003. Uh, Pittsburgh was one of the better teams in the country. They were third in the country at the time. They had Carl Krauser, and they had four guys who were on the NBA. We almost won the game at Pittsburgh. Um,
Wow.
they were really good. Of course, I've always been a small college coach, so you know I haven't played in the ACC where every game could be the answer to your question. But I mean, I've coached against Florida, Xavier, Cincinnati, Kentucky, Louisville, Florida State, Pitt, Wagner, Murray State, Western Kentucky. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but that was just a great. That was just a. I mean, that was like David and Goliath, and we had to be perfect to have a chance to win, and we were almost perfect. High school, it was North Gwinnett out of Georgia, really good program. Um, but we actually won that game as well. It was the best win I've ever had as a high school coach. Um, they had four guys went on Division One, two of them went to the ACC, and that was down at the Marshall County Hoop Fest, and we had a bunch of 6'1" and under white dudes that were just skilled as hell and played together, and they were just loaded with talent, had all the stars behind their name and rankings and all that stuff, and we won the game. So
So what about at the prep level? Like, how has that changed in the? I know this is kind of off topic, but how has that changed from high school now? If you're at Ashland now, you're at Huntington Special Prep. Like the level of competition, like when you go in night out.
here's what I've been telling recruits. I haven't coached a game yet as prep school coach. Just took the
Okay.
job about a month ago. Okay, but I'm telling what I've learned from watching film, the grind session. We're going to be in the elevation conference. A lot of people don't realize this. The grind session has three levels, and
Yeah.
we're a first year team in the grind session. Um, sorry, that's my little dog, um, Bella. Sorry,
She wants on the
but
podcast.
but the elevation conference is the second level, and so what I've told recruits is that every game that we play is like Saturday morning in Rep Arena in the Final Four. Those games usually have 5 4 to 6 college level players in them. That's every single game
Yeah.
at competitive prep school level or boarding school level. Not just grind session, but I mean, you go to Tennessee, the McCallie School, the Baylor School, the Hamilton Heights, the Brentwood Academy. You go to Virginia, the Miller School, the New Covenant School, the Blue Ridge School. You know, I mean, these are great programs that produce dudes every year, and so it's going to be tough. It's just there's no nights off in prep school basketball because and there's so many international kids that you don't know how good they are, and then you see them and like, holy, no one recruiting this kid, and then 2 months later he's committed to UConn,
Yeah.
because no one knew about him because he's from the Congo, and it's just there's a lot of those guys, and so it's just different. I'm really enjoying it. It's a blank canvas that I get to create on. I'm excited about it.
Well, guys, I guess we're about to wrap it up. So the Blue Chips Freedom United, you guys finished. Was it 4-2 or 3-2, fellas?
3-2.
You got the three. It was 3-2. You had some big wins over Team New England, the unit, and the one for you, Coach Trace, over the Lou Dort Elite Canada squad. You guys made it to the championship game. You guys qualified. Got a berth to the Nationals in South Carolina at Rock Hill. I love that place, by the way.
Sure.
And more importantly, you guys proved that you belonged on the Junior 3 SSB circuit.
For sure.
I believe the future is bright for your program. If Boston was any indication, Blue Chip Phenom United, you guys are only getting started. And I love what I hear about, Coach Mays talking about how you guys are going to approach training, how you guys are going to approach everything is professional. I think you guys are really going to set our youth up to be more successful in the end, teaching them not only about what's on the court, but learning about winning, just the mentality of you can lose and win in 3 seconds, but you have to be resilient to stay winning, right?
Got
Um,
to.
and Coach, I just want to thank you guys both for coming on and joining us.
You're welcome.
I just want to thank everybody else out there watching and listening. And before we hop off here, how did they find you guys on social media? And give out your website address again, there, Coach Mays.
Okay. Well, the website for the Blue Chip Basketball Academy is bluechipbball.com. All right. And our Instagram is Blue Chip Basketball. And I'm Coach J, just the letter J, Mays, Mays, Coach J Mays on everything, TikTok, Facebook, uh, Twitter,
Twitter.
X, and Instagram. Yeah. So just
Yes.
Coach J Mays, and then Trace.
Yeah, for me on Instagram and on X, I'm just Trace Nichols. So first and last name, real easy. And then you can find a lot of my coaching content with Blue Chip on the Blue Chip Instagram page as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Make sure you be able to subscribe to Pure Prospects and Blue Chips Global. We got
Yes,
player
sir.
evaluations, rankings, recruiting coverage, interviews, podcasts like this one, and some exclusive basketball content. I'm Cody Thomas, and this has been the Pure Prospects podcast by Blue Chips Global on the Appalachian Recruiting Network. We'll see you guys next time.
Appreciate you, Cody.
See you guys.